Hello everybody, it's Lucy Wolf here, sleep consultant and author of The Baby Sleep Solution. And all about the Baby Sleep Solution as well. I hope that you're really well today. Just want to have a little word with you about short naps, and again, just to maybe give you some pointers around what you might be able to do to help your child if they are stuck in a short nap cycle. First of all, I want you to know that young babies under 6 months of age, very often that's all they can do. Short naps is their design based on their age and based on their stage. I will of course encourage you to use my sleep shaping guidance that are tucked into both of my books for that particular age range, so that you can begin to set the scene and lay the fertile ground for longer naps to come if your baby is developmentally able to do so. And then beyond 6 months of age, we do feel that your baby may well be able to start to sleep longer than they've been doing, but it is possible that you would need to make some adjustments and changes in order to start to see that nap lengthen. So first of all, in order to expect to have longer naps, your child probably needs, first of all, high sleep ability, specifically at bedtime, and that means that they can achieve their sleep at bedtime with little or no support from you, and that includes bottles, boobs, drinks of water, patting on the bottom. It means that they can get to sleep themselves. And again, you would help them to achieve that by using the stay and support approach, and then working through the stages so that ability becomes the highest that it can be on the scale from 0 to 10, and that will help them to be able to go for a nap with greater ease, but it also will allow them to stay asleep for longer for the nap as well, potentially anyway. Another little point to mention for daytime sleep, again, it's around bedtime, is that sometimes when short naps are part of the dynamic, it's because your bedtime is on the late side. So young children who are struggling with any element of their sleep, they typically benefit from a really early bedtime. And so as a result of working on lengthening daytime sleep, as well as everything else, I will nearly always bring forward bedtime and aim for them to be asleep around 7. As I begin to improve any area of a child's sleep dynamic. And then I can adjust that backwards and forwards to meet the need as it unfolds. Another little point about daytime sleep being short, it often happens when the daytime sleep is attempted when your baby is already overtired. So it is important that when you are embarking on helping a child to sleep better for daytime sleep, that the daytime sleep is attempted before they become overtired. So before you see those really intense symptoms of tiredness, it can be helpful then to attempt their sleep. And that's why I sometimes use that wake profile. So, an hour and 40 minutes after getting up, I prepare for the nap, or depending on your child's age range, 2 hours and 40 minutes after getting up, I prepare for the nap. And that way then you know that you're kind of getting to your child's sleep before they become overtired, which then increases the potential for the nap to be longer, but not all of the time. So I suppose first of all, I would be looking to make sure that the environment is good, super dark for the nap, because we are relying on the darkness to help the nap take root. Also warm enough for the nap, and I suppose the least amount of disturbances as well, so that we can really help the nap be as long as it needs to be. Now, just in relation to that, mostly I'm looking for one nap of at least 45 minutes, and one nap of at least an hour plus in duration when your child is doing a multiple of naps in the day. And then when it's just one nap a day, I would typically be hoping that nap would be somewhere between 1 to 2 plus hours. And again, each child is different. And again, it takes time for naps to sync together and stitch together. When you've been working on your child's sleep for a little bit of time and the daytime sleep is still relatively short, if they're beginning to get really good at going for the nap and you feel that the timings are pretty good for the nap, and maybe you've even started moving your naps into position, as I mentioned yesterday on my grid post, well then you may be able to work on the mid nap if it hasn't naturally lengthened. Very often if you're actively working on your child's sleep and you're consolidating the nighttime sleep, that in its own helps the naps to start to grow. And it is a point to mention that consolidated nighttime sleep to the best of your child's ability also can be a component to allow the naps in the day to get that little bit longer. And when you've been working on that plan, you've been addressing bedtime, You've been moving through the stages, you've been treating your overnight, and you've potentially also been helping them go for their naps in the cot and also moving positions, but the naps is still short. Maybe after about 2 or 3 weeks, I then might start to work on the mid-nap section. So then as a result of that, if either nap 1 or nap 2, or even the single nap is under an hour, I might spend about 30 minutes in stage 1 of the stay and support approach, trying to help them go back to sleep. Now, when you do this particular activity, it doesn't necessarily mean they'll go back to sleep. So sometimes what we see is it's the effort rather than the moment. And so that means that you might do it 3 days in a row, and each of those 3 days your child never goes back for the nap even though you're trying, and on the 4th day the nap itself just starts to lengthen. So I often feel like it's like the effort, and then your child gets the memo, and you're really encouraging the practice of that muscle in order to allow the naps to get that little bit longer. And so that's how I generally start to try and help the nap become longer. But just like everything where your child's sleep is concerned, it's about trying to get all your sleep ducks aligned and then allowing the longer sleep tendency overnight, early in the morning and in the daytime, in order for that to start to come up to the surface. It's tricky. Naps on their own are tricky. Nap number 2 specifically is tricky. And again, I often compare nap number 2 to being like 5 a.m. in the morning time, characteristically. So that'll just put that in context for you. So look, I hope that's helpful. Loads of information in both of the books, very specific information on those fine-tuning issues in the second book, all about the baby sleep solution. Your questions answered. So I hope that's helpful, and I look forward to seeing you here again soon.